on a vital planet in the human domain. A hunchbacked, green-skinned old man with tentacles stood in an alley of a bustling city. He stood in front of a dispirited young man. "Child, you are so young and full of vigor. Your future is limitless. Why are you so dispirited without any will to fight?" The green-skinned old man spoke hoarsely. The dispirited young man sat on the ground, leaning against the wall. His eyes were filled with sorrow. He shook his head. There's no hope anymore. I've tried my best, but they're too strong. Although they aren't the strongest in the city, they aren't something an ordinary person like me can resist. They keep toying with me. They don't kill me because they treat me like a toy. Life is full of miracles. The green-skinned old man spoke hoarsely. Nothing is eternal. The universe is even more mysterious. Anything can happen. Is that so? The dispirited young man glanced at the green-skinned old man, then lowered his head and continued drinking. Yes, anything can happen. The green-skinned old man smiled and nodded. The dispirited young man was startled. He sat there in a daze holding the bottle of wine. The smile on the old man's face grew wider and wider. 5 seconds later, the dispirited young man woke up. The dispirited young man's eyes were sharp, his aura completely different. He scanned the surroundings with vigilance, but when he saw this ordinary alley and the hunchbacked old man, he was stunned. He revealed a look of disbelief. How did I return to 100,000 years ago? I'm already a sector lord. What's going on? This is an illusion. It can't be so real, but... Child. The hunchbacked old man spoke. You are. The dispirited young man stared at the hunchbacked old man. You're the old man who guided me back then? Back then, wasn't it just now? The hunchbacked old man smiled and vanished into thin air. The dispirited young man was stunned for a long time. Domain. The dispirited young man looked around, his will moved. Although his telekinesis was weak, under the guidance of a sector lord's will, it formed a weak flame domain. It's real, everything is real. Everything that happened is real. I cultivated all the way to becoming a sector lord. Is it all real? But how did I return to the most painful time? Travel back to the past? No. The dispirited young man was different from before. He now had the heart of a strong warrior. Even if you reverse time, you won't be able to travel to the past. In other words, I experienced an illusion. But what kind of illusion could allow me to live in it for 100,000 years? And become a world overlord? Moreover, he comprehended a portion of the laws? The dispirited youth's eyes widened in horror. He looked around and shouted, "Senior, senior, senior?" However, there was no one to be seen. The dispirited young man shook his head. Unfortunately, I missed a great opportunity. If he could follow by that senior's side, becoming an undying would be easy. It's incredible. But I've already benefited a lot. Humph, that group of bastards, I killed you in the illusion. This time I will make you feel despair again. Then the decadent youth left the alley. Hee. The hunchbacked, antenna-horned old man stood where he was, watching the dispirited young man leave and smiled. From beginning to end, the hunchbacked old man didn't move at all. However, if he wanted the dispirited young man to see him, he could see him. If he wanted the young man to not see him, he could not see him. Buzz. A powerful will traversed the endless space-time, suddenly descending upon this planet, descending upon this alley. The surrounding space was slightly distorted. An oval black ball appeared in the alley, speaking, "Stone, you are known as a demon god. Even universe lords fear you, yet you have the mood to help that punk. If I want to kill, I'll kill. If I want to save, I'll save. If I want to bestow favors, I'll bestow favors. If that punk had knelt in the alley and begging to see me, I would have immediately killed him." The hunchbacked old man turned to look at the black ball. "Automaton, this is the human domain, your will descended here to find me?" "Yes." The oval black ball floated in mid-air, the surrounding space was unstable, indistinct. "I'm asking you to kill a punk. Is he very strong?" The hunchbacked old man said. "Human Luo Feng." The oval black ball said. "LuoFeng." The hunchbacked old man nodded. "I know this punk. After returning from the cosmic sea, news about him spread like wildfire. No wonder you came. Your automaton race, the bug race and the demon race all want to kill him. Tell me, where is he now?" "Ancestral God Sect, Purple Thorn Island." The oval black ball said. "Ancestral God Sect." The hunchbacked old man was no longer as calm and natural as before. His eyes stared and a black light flickered. "Automaton, I don't care about that huge axe, I can help you kill that punk. However, he's in the core area of the Ancestral God Sect. You want me to barge into the core area and kill their inheritor. It said that the sect even gave him treasures. Obviously they value this Luo Feng. Back then I helped you once, this time I've returned the favor." The distant black ball spoke. "I owe you one." The hunchbacked old man said hoarsely, "All right, I'll agree. Give me his details." "Pinnacle Universe Overlord strength, his god body is comparable to a rare life form, and he has the ability to clone himself. Just destroying his body alone won't work. You have to use your soul to destroy his entire body. Or soul control. However, soul control is obviously much harder." The black ball said, "Stone, you're an illusion type, the strongest in the universe. If you can't do it, no warrior in the primeval universe will be able to do it." "All right, I'll leave now, I know you're all getting impatient." The hunchbacked old man said. "Then I'll wait for your good news." The oval black ball said. "What?" The two disappeared one after the other, the surrounding space shook a little before returning to normal. And the normal humans in the city didn't even notice this. Ancestral God secret region, space outside the five-colored extreme light lake. A completely black alien race being stood in the air, surrounded by black air currents. The black air currents covered his entire body, and only a pair of dark eyes could be vaguely seen. Human Luo Feng? To be able to make one of the strongest in the universe invite another to kill you, you should be proud. Purple Thorn Island. LuoFeng's mansion was built in the Jiangnan style, with bridges and streams, pavilions and terraces. Luo Feng sat in front of a table, drinking wine and pondering about the path of the beast god. He really liked these peaceful days of training. However, Luo Feng was clear, he seemed very safe in the ancestral god sect. However, the longer it dragged on, the more anxious the bug race, the demon race and the automaton race would be. After all, how could the top three races stand by and watch him grow? They would definitely think of a way to kill him. And he had the talent to create clones. If they destroyed one of his clones with just a physical attack, they wouldn't be able to achieve the result they wanted. Hence, if they wanted to kill him, they would definitely attack his soul, or use it to completely destroy him just like how the Unimo Planet Master died back then. Or his soul would be controlled. Luo Feng naturally didn't dare to be careless when his earth body appeared out in the open. He always carried the soul treasure pearl, and wore the pinnacle treasure Calamity Armor. The Calamity Armor had the ability to weaken soul attacks. Most importantly, a weak soul-type treasure might directly collapse in the face of some soul attacks. However, the Pagoda Pearl was one of the control cores of the Star Tower. It was the proof that it recognized its owner. Even if a powerful treasure attacked it, it would not shatter. Although its defensive power was only at the level of a normal treasure, it was definitely trustworthy. Pearl, Calamity Armor, along with my Universe Lord willpower and consciousness. Luo Feng thought. His powerful god body, endless god energy, gave him a powerful consciousness. Universe Lord level. Training time and time again, the life and death inheritance evolution, 180 million years of training, allowed his willpower to reach the Universe Lord level. With this to rely on, Luo Feng naturally had more confidence. Luo Feng, who was sitting there holding a glass of wine and pondering about the path of the beast god, suddenly looked up at the sky. He couldn't feel anything wrong. He looked up. High up in the sky, below the rainbow lake, a silhouette surrounded by endless black energy appeared. Under the shroud, it was impossible to see clearly, only a pair of eyes could be seen. What kind of eyes were those? Luo Feng felt a shiver just from looking at it. Not good. That shiver that came from his soul made Luo Feng immediately understand, this feeling of helplessness was only felt when meeting the space primogenitor and mountain passenger. It's the strongest of the universe. Luo Feng immediately understood. A formless attack descended. Peng. 100 meters above Luo Feng, a gigantic crack suddenly appeared out of nowhere. No, it wasn't a crack. It was a clash between two space. The space around the black energy silhouette was completely controlled, the universe laws within were all retracted. Everything was under the control of that black energy silhouette. The space below too was being controlled, one above, one below, the two actually clashed 100 m above Luo Feng. It was even more terrifying than a collision between planets. The two formless space clashed, the two powerful willpower controlling their own space. As the space clashed, cracks appeared. What? Luo Feng was stunned. After all, his strength far surpassed the pinnacle of the Universe Lords. He could even compete with the Universe Lords. His willpower and consciousness was extremely strong too, hence he immediately determined that there was another strongest being below. Two strongest of the universe? They're exchanging blows? Luo Feng was stunned. Hua hua hua. The highest five-colored lake in the sky was truly going berserk. This was the first time Luo Feng had seen it so berserk. The endless five-colored lake was like a lake in the sky collapsing, rumbling. The endless aurora rushed downwards, rushing towards the black mist silhouette. The black mist silhouette didn't move at all. Instead it let out an angry roar. Ancestor God, you want to stop me? Demon God Su Zhen, this is my ancestral god sect's territory. A powerful voice resounded. Ancestor God? Luo Feng followed the voice and turned to look. Not far from his mansion, a silhouette rose from a normal palace. This was a 10 m tall foreign race warrior with 6 arms and 2 thick legs. He had a face on the front and back of his head. The front face was white and looked very benevolent. He had a smile on his face that made people involuntarily feel affected. The back face was pitch black and looked very ferocious. It was filled with killing intent. Each of his 6 arms was holding onto 6 short rods. Each of the short rods had 4 edges, and it was somewhat similar to the Jian weapon from Earth's history. Of these 6 Jian, 3 were black and 3 were white. At the same time, each of the black and white Jian had an aura flowing, forming a cycle of black and white airflow. The ancestor god is beside me? Luo Feng was shocked. He had been training on Circus Island for 62 years. He didn't know there was an ancestor god living beside him. The ancestor god's benevolent face looked towards the sky. His voice passed through the space he controlled and reached the Void Demon God. Void Demon God, quickly retreat. I'll treat it as though you were never here. Haha, so it's the dual-faced ancestor god. What a big talk. You actually dare to be so arrogant in front of me. Others might be afraid of your ancestor god sect, but I, Void, have never cared. I go wherever I want to go. Who can stop me? Today I want to kill this human Luo Feng. You can't stop me either. As the black foggy figure in the sky sneered, the spacetime he controlled came pressing down on them once again. Rumble. The pressure from the cosmic space he controlled seemed to be even stronger than before. Peng? The dual-faced ancestor god looked up. The space he controlled also rushed upwards. At the same time the two universes clashed, the endless five-colored lake finally pressed downwards. The countless auroras became extremely small and gathered together, forming a golden pillar of light. Everywhere it passed, it was silent. The space controlled by the void demon god seemed to have been cut, revealing a space ravine. An absolute treasure is indeed powerful. Luo Feng looked up and was shocked. That part of the universe space is completely controlled by the demon god. His words are law and the laws of the universe have retreated. This is even more powerful than the master of the universe's ability to control spacetime. However, in the face of a supreme treasure, it's useless. The golden light pillars silently bombarded the ground below. Wherever it passed, a dark spatial ravine extended towards the void demon god. Ha! Demon god Void suddenly raised his head. Black fog filled the air. You want to hurt me with the five-colored Aurora Lake? Get lost. The void demon god let out a roar. As he roared, an armor that caused the space to tremble immediately appeared. It was a mysterious armor that was stained with specks of golden blood. The armor fused with every inch of the void demon god's body. The moment the armor appeared, a dark void that was over 10 meters wide appeared around it. The golden beam of light blasted down. The blood-stained armor directly withstood it. Ping 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 ping, almost as though space was exploding inch by inch like countless firecrackers going off. In an instant, the space around the void demon god completely crumbled into particles. However, the space controlled by the ancestor god was very stable and wasn't affected at all. LuoFeng's gaze pierced through the particles and saw the evil void demon god's silhouette. After this clash, the void demon god slightly sank down and the golden beam of light immediately crumbled. Haha, I have an absolute treasure protecting me. I've roamed the universe sea and nobody has been able to kill me. Who do you think you are? Ah. Along with an insolent roar, universe space shatter. The black fog silhouette fiercely descended. One could vaguely see his right leg stomping down fiercely. The void fiend celestial wore an ancient combat boot on his right foot. Clearly, it was one of the components of the paramount treasure that protected his body. The ancient combat boot. Just by stomping downwards, it caused space-time to completely distort. The flow of time became chaotic as space shattered. Ping ping ping. The universe space controlled by the ancestor god also shattered inch by inch. It couldn't stop this stomp at all. Void demon god, you're too presumptuous. The two-faced ancestor god's black face appeared in front of him. He looked above ferociously and his expression was filled with killing intent. With a roar he rushed upwards. Each of his 6 arms had a god truncheon. As he waved his 6 truncheons, 3 black energy flows and 3 white energy flows formed. They combined and formed a complex black and white energy flow diagram. Black and white energy flow diagram. He rushed upwards. His right leg stomped downwards. Rumble. The moment the two clashed, the void demon god had an absolute treasure. The ancestor god's 6 truncheons were all pinnacle treasures too. With the 6 pinnacle treasures stacked together, the void demon god only had the defensive power of the treasures. In terms of offensive power, the ancestor god and the void demon god weren't much different. Void scram. The two-faced ancestor god's 6 arms waved outwards, forming a complex black and white energy flow diagram. The 6 truncheons actually stacked together and supported each other. The void demon god's legs stomped downwards. The space they controlled was trembling. Luo Feng felt the surrounding space tremble. This made his expression change. He wanted to escape. However, the space controlled by the ancestor god was still safe. The moment he escaped, he would be in danger. What's more, the 2 strongest warriors of the universe were battling. It caused the space they controlled to tremble and become unstable. He couldn't even create his god country to teleport away. I can't escape either. There's actually the strongest warrior of the universe coming to kill me? Luo Feng stared hard at the battle between the 2 strongest warriors of the universe. Even though their battle was completely restricted to that space was constantly condensing into particles. Even though he didn't personally feel it, Luo Feng could vaguely deduce. It was terrifying. The void demon god was using his protective treasure. The ancestor god was using the 6 black and white truncheons. Even the universe lord would probably be destroyed. Void demon god, since you're still not leaving, don't blame me. 5-colored Aurora Lake. The ancestor god roared. The 5-colored Aurora Lake that had been attacking with only a portion of the 5-colored Aurora began to shrink. One had to know that the 5-colored Aurora Lake was a treasure that covered a few light years. At this time it had completely shrunk. Countless Aurora became the size of rice grains and condensed into a 5-color huge blade. Slash. The 5-color huge blade slashed downwards. The ancestor god wielded his 6 truncheons and attacked again. Damn ancestor god, you actually... Void Fiend Celestial roared angrily. As he withstood the 5-colored Aurora Lake's 5-colored sword, he also had to withstand the ancestor god's 6 divine truncheons attacks. Immediately he became flustered and suffered several attacks. His divine body was somewhat drained. You're forcing me? Ah! The void demon god looked up and roared. The surrounding space immediately began to crack. Even the ancestor god was forced to retreat. The 5-color huge blade couldn't even get close. In an instant, The Ancestor God and the five-color huge blade couldn't even get close. The Void Demon God emitted an overwhelming aura. It was simply ridiculously strong. LuoFeng, who was watching from below, was dumbstruck. The legendary strongest warrior of the universe was restricted by the universe origin laws. His true strength should only be slightly stronger than the universe lord's. However, it shouldn't be this ridiculously strong. The Ancestor God and the strongest treasures couldn't even get close? Void Demon God, this is the primal universe. You actually dare to mess around. The Ancestor God roared. Yeah. The Void Fiend Celestial's might was overwhelming, and it completely ignored the five-colored greatsword as it punched downwards. At that moment, a golden chain suddenly appeared in the void and wrapped itself around the Void Fiend Celestial's arm, preventing its punch from landing. No. The Void Demon God was shocked. Another aquamarine chain extended out of the void, directly binding the Void Demon God's other arm. An aquamarine chain also extended out of the void. Chains that were born out of the void, each of them silent, yet with irresistible power, they bound the Void Demon God's body layer by layer. Damn. The Void Demon God roared furiously, but his aura continued to weaken. It was so weak that it was even weaker than when the battle had just begun. Only then did the chains that had extended out from the void around him gradually fade. Dual-Faced Ancestor God, this is the primal universe. If we were in the cosmic sea, you wouldn't even be my match. The Void Demon God looked below and roared. But this is the primal universe. The Dual-Faced Ancestor God looked above coldly. Any one of us can defeat you. In the primal universe, no one can shake our Ancestor God sect. We are the protectors of the universe origin laws. Naturally, we will receive the universe origin laws' blessings. Give up. Unless you want to challenge the universe origin laws? The Void Demon God stared below. The Dual-Faced Ancestor God looked at both sides. The two faced each other. Very good. The Void Demon God laughed angrily. In the cosmic sea, I will let your Ancestor God sect know the consequences of angering me. The three of us never go to the cosmic sea. The Dual-Faced Ancestor God said. The Void Demon God gritted his teeth. However, he could only suppress his rage. In the cosmic sea, the Ancestor God sect couldn't be arrogant. However, in the primal universe, the Ancestor God sect reigned supreme. Punk. The Void Demon God turned to look at the shocked LuoFeng. Count yourself lucky. The Void Demon God fiercely rushed into the sky. His speed far exceeded the speed of light. He immediately broke through the five-colored lake and vanished. The chaotic and broken universe space had completely calmed down. The flowers and plants on Circus Island were intact, and the colorful Aurora Lake was floating calmly in the sky. Except for LuoFeng, the other inheritors on Circus Island only felt the space shake, but they didn't know what had happened. LuoFeng looked up at the sky and was stunned for a while. The Ancestor God and the Void Demon God had both vanished. LuoFeng, come here. The Ancestor God's voice suddenly resounded in his ears. LuoFeng, who was beside the railing, turned to look below, only to see a silhouette standing in the courtyard of his residence. It was the two-faced Ancestor God. Ancestor God. LuoFeng immediately flashed and arrived below. The two-faced Ancestor God's kind face looked at LuoFeng, making him feel like he was bathed in the spring breeze. LuoFeng said gratefully, "Thank you, Ancestor God, for saving me." The five-colored Aurora Lake enveloped the entire core area of the Ancestor God sect. The sudden disappearance of the five-colored Aurora Lake had indeed attracted the attention of many islands, the Octagonal Beast God Temple, the Octagonal Beast God Temple, and the 72 Divine Generals continents. How big of a deal was it for the five-colored light lake to disappear? Even though it quickly returned to normal, it still caused endless discussion. The five-colored light lake is an absolute treasure. Unless it's in a critical moment, it won't be fully used. Usually just a little bit of light is enough to destroy the enemy. It disappeared in an instant just now. The five-colored light lake must have gone all out. Just who was it? Who provoked the five-colored light lake to go all out and attack? The Ancestral God sect had a large number of outer members. They usually lived on other islands. They discussed and secretly sent the news back to their respective powers. Even though they were outer members like Jiufeng Knight, even though he was a candidate god, he was definitely loyal to humanity. With the Ancestral God sect as the core, the news spread swiftly. The Ancestral God sect's treasure, the five-colored light lake, was used once and instantly disappeared, only recovering after a while. Something big must have happened. To be forced to this extent, could it be that the strongest warrior of the universe invaded the core area of the Ancestral God sect? The other 9 superpowers of the universe were not fools. Very quickly they had their own deductions. This was especially so for the bug race, demon race, and automaton race, the 3 highest existences. They were all secretly anticipating this. This was because after the automaton race's godfather had invited the virtual demon god, he had immediately informed the demon race and bug race. He had already invited the strongest experts of the universe. Killing LuoFeng must have angered the Ancestral God sect. Haha, as long as we kill LuoFeng with that hard rock's ability, he can easily leave. The news quickly spread to the outside world, but LuoFeng didn't know about it. Especially on Circus Island, because the dual-faced Ancestor God controlled the universe space, so the inheritors on Circus Island didn't see the five-colored Aurora Lake disappear and reappear. What? LuoFeng couldn't help but be shocked. Ancestor God, you've always been protecting me? Haha. The two-faced Elder God laughed. I'm the immortal from your neighboring residence. Of course no one on Circus Island would be able to detect my appearance. It's him? An image of a two-headed silver wolf demon undying appeared in Luo Feng's mind. If I hadn't been living next door to you, how would I have been able to save you in time if I had been at the Ancestor God Palace when you suddenly encountered danger? The two-faced ancestral god said with a smile. Demon god Void Truth is so powerful that he appeared on Circus Island in an instant. If I had been in the Ancestral God Palace, I'm afraid that by the time I arrived, you would have died and your soul would have been controlled. Soul controlled. Luo Feng frowned. According to what he knew, the strongest expert in the universe was only slightly stronger than the strongest lord of the universe. The difference was not too ridiculous. His will and consciousness were at the level of a lord of the universe, and he had the tribulation armor to weaken soul attacks. He also had one of the Star Pagoda's components, the Pagoda Pearl, to guard his soul. You shouldn't be that weak, right? You don't believe me? The two-faced ancestral god smiled at Luo Feng and shook his head. He's called Demon God Void Truth? Why is he called Void Truth? It's because his illusions are exactly the same as reality. Illusions? Reality? Luo Feng was shocked within. The moment you fall into his illusions, you will still be able to sense the universe origin laws and train. The comprehension of the laws within will be completely real. The two-faced ancestral god smiled as he looked at Luo Feng. Of course the moment you leave the illusions, you will realize that your body hasn't changed at all. Only your willpower and memories will change. Of course the laws you train in must be ones he knows. If he doesn't, naturally he won't let you train in them. Luo Feng was shocked within. One could even train in illusions? This was very similar to the virtual universe. Not right. The virtual universe allowed countless life forms to enter at the same time, and they could train in any law within. It was no different from reality. And the true absolute warriors would be able to clearly differentiate between the virtual world and reality. They wouldn't get mixed up. Only the weaker normal humans who stayed in the virtual world for long periods of time would get mixed up. And the moment one's willpower became strong, they wouldn't get mixed up. Therefore, there was a fundamental difference between the virtual universe and the illusory realm. The illusory realm was more upright, like another universe, the universe of consciousness. The moment you fall into his illusions, you may instantly spend 10,000 years in them or even longer. The two-faced ancestral god said. Won't this be used for training? Luo Feng was shocked. A very powerful way to save time. No. The two-faced ancestral god walked on the stone path beside the pond. Maintaining the illusions consumes a large amount of god energy, and he has to use all his strength. Making a normal human fall into an illusion for a long period of time is very easy. However, making a universe lord fall into an illusion and spend 10,000 years in it, the amount of god energy used is ridiculous. How can you use it for training? What's more, the path you're walking on, the demon god might not know. However, his strongest technique is his illusions. The ancestral god looked at Luo Feng. I've lived beside you for 62 years, silently observing you for so long. I can deduce, your willpower and consciousness should have reached the universe lord level. Your god body too is comparable to a unique life form. Luo Feng was shocked. Terrifying. He didn't even battle, just observing in the dark. He was able to deduce this after a long period of observation. Even his primal chaos city leader teacher had to deduce this in the primal universe. Killing you with a soul is as difficult as killing a universe lord. However, the demon god can do it. The ancestral god nodded. The demon god's illusions are terrifying. With the universe lord's willpower and consciousness, one has to at least have a top-level soul-type treasure to not fear his illusions. And this is when his strength is restricted by the universe laws. One has to have a top-level soul-type treasure? Luo Feng held his breath. A top-level soul-type treasure, comparable to a pinnacle treasure's value, even amongst the universe lords, more than half didn't have one. You have to know, he's the strongest in the universe, the most terrifying in terms of illusions. The two-faced ancestral god looked at Luo Feng. Normal soul-type treasures? His godly energy can instantly tear through them. Even high-level soul-type treasures can't protect them. This is a fact proven by his battle records. Luo Feng nodded, memorizing it. This information was considered top secret. For the two-faced ancestral god to tell him, it was a huge favor. Actually, the two-faced ancestral god was able to hide beside him for a total of 62 years, which meant that ever since his fame exploded, provoking the Bug clan, Demon clan and Automaton clan to kill him, the two-faced ancestral god had been hiding beside him. The armor can only weaken one level, just the pearl, is that not enough? Looks like I have to bring the Star Pagoda with me at all times. Luo Feng thought. The moment the pearl returned to the Star Pagoda, it would shrink and sit within Luo Feng's body, naturally protecting his soul. The Star Pagoda, it had attack, soul type, flying palace type, sealing and many other effects. Even though it only had soul type effects, the entire Star Pagoda within his body, according to Luo Feng's judgment, it was comparable to a pinnacle soul type treasure. At least Luo Feng felt it was completely different. Just as Mountain Passenger said. With the Star Pagoda he feared no one. His strongest defense was to hide within the Star Pagoda. Be it material attacks or soul attacks, the Star Pagoda could completely defend against them. Hiding within, even the strongest of the universe couldn't do anything to him. Of course, doing that would also reveal that he had the Star Pagoda. That would definitely attract the jealousy of the pinnacle existences of the universe. There was no such thing as guarding for 1,000 days, being watched by the strongest of the universe. He couldn't always stay within the Star Pagoda. the moment he was careless, he would be in danger. Next time I'll place the Star Pagoda within my body and protect my soul. I've still underestimated the universe's strongest expert. It said that the universe's strongest expert is only slightly stronger than the strongest lord of the universe. I didn't expect them to be so powerful. Looks like I've underestimated the power of the universe lords too. Luo Feng thought. He always thought that after stepping into the universe knight level, he would be able to spar with the universe lords. However, Luo Feng suddenly realized there were strong and weak universe lords too. The weak ones he might be able to spar with them. However, the strong ones like the primal chaos city leader, they were only slightly weaker than the void demon god. From the void demon god's performance, the pinnacle of universe lords were probably much stronger than him. Absolute treasure Star Pagoda to protect my soul, Calamity Armor to protect my body, 90,000 kilometers long god body. The strongest of the universe shouldn't be able to do anything to me. I have to quickly retrieve the Star Pagoda. Luo Feng felt that he was overconfident. The power displayed by the strongest of the universe this time woke him up. The two-faced ancestor god turned and looked at Luo Feng. The news of you killing the blurry light leader and Zhongzhan Knight has spread, especially when you appeared on Purple Thorn Island. The other two ancestor gods and I have discussed about you. The bug race, automaton race and demon race will endure for a while, but as time goes on they might make a move. Hence, on the second day of your arrival, I stayed in the palace beside yours. Thank you ancestor god. Luo Feng said. His heart. He had to remember. Repay kindness with kindness. You are the one our ancestor god sect has the highest hopes for in the recent long years. Your potential is even stronger than Purple Rain Knight. The two-faced ancestor god smiled as he looked at Luo Feng. Our ancestor god sect hopes for you to grow to a level comparable to your teacher, the primal chaos city leader. At that time we will give you the position of guardian god leader. Protector god leader? Luo Feng was shocked. 9 underworld leader was the protector god leader of the ancestral god sect. The protector god leader was already the highest level of the outer members of the ancestral god sect. His position was second only to the elder god, comparable to the beast god. No wonder he helped me so much. He thinks highly of me and wants me to become the protector god leader. Luo Feng thought. Right now, I'm facing the strongest of the universe and I still need the protection of the strongest treasures. However, the moment I step into the universe lord level, my god energy will rise again and my consciousness will naturally rise again. At that time, even if I don't use any soul treasures, I won't have to fear the illusionary demon god anymore. Luo Feng thought. Right now, his strength was very strong and he dared to fight the universe lords. However, against the strongest of the universe, he still had to rely on the Star Pagoda to protect himself. It seemed like the strongest of the universe mountain guest was the most accurate. Back then he said that Luo Feng relied on the Star Pagoda to dominate the universe without fear. The other meaning of this was that without the Star Pagoda, Luo Feng still couldn't reach a level where he didn't have to fear anyone in the universe. Understanding the intentions of the ancestral god sect, Luo Feng was still grateful. After all, they only did this because they thought highly of him. And according to his investigations, the ancestral god sect indeed had no conflicts with the human race. Plus the ancestral god sect had promised back then, the moment one joined an outer member like a human, they definitely wouldn't let the human warriors deal with the human race. They could even reject certain missions. Since Demon God Illusionary tried to deal with you once, you should know how much the Bug Clan, Automaton Clan and Demon Clan want to kill you. The two-faced elder god looked at Luo Feng. Think carefully about what you should do. Luo Feng nodded. Of course there's no need to panic. Demon God Illusionary is the strongest in the universe. What kind of status does he have? To invite him to act, the price won't be low. Since he had already tried once and failed again, at the very least, Void Demon God definitely wouldn't come to the Ancestor God sect to assassinate him a second time. It wouldn't be easy to invite another strongest expert of the universe. I'm afraid the Bug Clan, Automaton Clan and Demon Clan won't be willing to do it. After all, after failing once, if he fails again, wouldn't that be akin to giving away treasures? The two-faced elder god smiled. Think carefully about what you should do. I'll return to the Ancestral God Palace. The two-faced elder god immediately turned and left. With just 3 steps, his silhouette blurred and vanished. Return to Ancestral God Palace? Luo Feng nodded within. What kind of status did the Ancestor God have? It was already a great favor for him to stay by the side and help him once. He couldn't always be his bodyguard. Let's return to God Nation first. Luo Feng turned around and headed towards the living room of his mansion. He left Circus Island and teleported back to the Divine Kingdom. The endless tranquil sea was constantly sensing the universe origin, absorbing divine power and continuing its transformation. After all, when he became a universe paragon from the immortal realm, only 1/8 of his body, a diameter of 10 billion kilometers, had completed the transformation, and he was still improving. Star Tower. The silver-armored and winged Luo Feng stood on the surface of the ocean. In the distance, a golden horned beast flew over. The golden horned beast that had become 1,000,000 km long had a huge star pagoda on its head. The star pagoda had also become 100,000 kilometers long. These few years, the golden horned beast has been studying the engravings of the Star Tower. The engravings on the Star Tower were incomparably profound and complicated. Furthermore, there were layers upon layers, as though a group of mountains was shrouded in white fog, making it impossible for one to see through them. Luo Feng was currently like that too. He could only vaguely discern the 3 layers of engravings. He had only completely comprehended the first layer. Of course the second layer was almost there. Come. Luo Feng extended his hand. Wah. The distant star tower immediately flew over. As it flew, it shrunk and landed in Luo Feng's palm. It was only the size of a walnut. Protect the soul. With a thought from Luo Feng, the star pagoda instantly drilled into Luo Feng's body and floated in the center of his chest. The original pagoda pearl naturally flew back into the star pagoda and returned to its original place. Just one pearl alone had the effect of protecting the soul. The most powerful treasure star tower, in terms of protecting the soul, it was even stronger by who knows how many times. Hua hua hua, countless god energy threads spread out with the star pagoda as the core. It was almost like the star pagoda had set up a network, swiftly covering Luo Feng's entire body. Every bit of god energy and life force was completely protected together. This made Luo Feng exclaim it was simply too powerful. The pearl protected the soul like a huge rock suppressing it. The star tower protected the soul, like a majestic mountain suppressing it. The stability was much stronger than before. As expected of a supreme treasure, Luo Feng was overjoyed. No wonder it was said that an absolute treasure could become a family treasure or a sect treasure. Even the strongest of the universe didn't have an absolute treasure. Even though I failed to invite the strongest of the universe to kill me the first time, the chances of a second time is very low. However, I can't be careless. Luo Feng immediately connected his consciousness to the virtual universe. Back then I tried to search for information on the strongest of the universe, but I couldn't find anything. And when the news spread, I was recognized as the pinnacle of the universe. My authority should have been raised. Virtual universe, Thunder Island, Luo Feng's residence. In a tranquil hall. Through the window one could see the endless Thunder Island below. Luo Feng sat at his desk looking at his laptop. Indeed, my authority has been raised. Luo Feng looked and smiled. The last time Luo Feng had the authority of a middle-level knight. And this time, it was a 7-star universe overlord authority. Master. The virtual universe assistant Babada's voice resounded. Of course this was only Babada's AI. Babada's true body was quietly training on Earth. With Luo Feng's resources, Babada had long stepped into the undying level. However, even in undying, he couldn't participate in battles at Luo Feng's level. Hence he remained on Earth. However, the Luo family had many matters. Babada had provided some help. Search for the universe lords and strongest of the universe. Luo Feng ordered. Yes. Many messages immediately appeared on the screen. Luo Feng immediately opened the first one. Usually the first one was the one with the most information. The authority of a 7-star universe overlord is indeed different. Looks like some of the most important secrets have the authority to know. Luo Feng looked at the large amount of information and smiled in praise, reading on. The countless life forms in the universe were nurtured by the universe. Like the universe's children, they received the love of the universe. Unique life forms were born with eternal life. Normal life forms had to reach the undying level to have eternal life. Otherwise they would only reach the end of their lifespan and fall. Generation after generation they would grow and fall, from which undyings would emerge. Below the undying level, there was no need to say more. Undying, just comprehending one of the lowest origin laws, and with the help of the origin law ocean, they would transform into a god body, gaining eternal life. Universe lords, however, comprehended one of the space or time laws. Their god bodies were stronger, and their comprehension of the origin laws would reach a higher level. Universe lords, however, comprehended space and time. Or one of the fusion laws of metal, wood, time and wind. Only by reaching this level could one truly become the lord of the universe. Once one became a universe lord, even the golden space beast god would be able to control space and time. This was a gift from the universe to them. Undying, universe knight, universe lord, these 3 levels, the universe origin laws had always been bestowed. Bestowed. And bestowed. Endlessly bestowed. With luck they would be bestowed with natural techniques. Bestowed with complete control over space and time, bestowed with the possibility of reviving through space and time. Even after becoming a universe lord, the universe origin laws still treated them like children, bestowing and protecting them. And during the training process, they would never intentionally disturb or destroy it. However, from the universe lord to the strongest of the universe, firstly there was no clear path. Once a universe's strongest was born, the path he once walked would be sealed. Other experts would not be able to walk the same path and become the universe's strongest. Secondly, even after experiencing endless hardships, great wisdom, great luck, and great perseverance, one could finally break through the final bottleneck and take the final step. After becoming the invincible universe's strongest, the universe's strongest would be able to control the laws and laws themselves. Their strength was so great that their words would be law. At this time they would instead be suppressed and restricted by the universe. From being a weakling to cultivating to becoming a universe lord, the universe had always favored them. The universe's strongest would instead be restricted and suppressed. Their strength would be suppressed, and they would only be able to unleash slightly more power than the strongest universe lord. Although they could only unleash this much power, their bodies were indeed extremely powerful. Thus, even reversing spacetime to revive an overlord of the universe was incomparably easy for them. Furthermore, once the universe's strongest killed a universe lord or a universe knight, one had to know that universe lords and supremacies were all protected by the universe origin laws. If they were truly killed, the universe's strongest would be punished by the universe origin laws. The stronger the killer, the heavier the punishment. For example, killing a universe lord, the punishment was nothing to the universe's strongest. The punishment for killing a master of the universe was much heavier. Of course, like the 9 underworld lord, primal chaos city leader, etc. Some of the universe's strongest, even if they gave it their all and accepted the punishment to kill them, they still didn't have enough power to kill them. Because the strength they could unleash was always limited. So it's like that. Luo Feng was dumbstruck as he watched. The universe nurtures all living beings, naturally it favors them. So the moment one becomes the universe's strongest, his identity changes, almost like he would be suppressed and restricted by the universe. Even killing universe knights and universe lords would result in punishment. How peculiar. Similarly, born from the endless primal universe, they've always been protected. However, the moment one becomes the universe's strongest, they have to be suppressed? And every strongest person in the universe must find a different path to break through? Luo Feng realized that the universe's strongest should have an even bigger secret. This secret was enough for the primal universe to suppress them, at least this secret. At least his 7-star authority didn't have the right to see it.